Hello everyone, and thank you for joining in on the last video of my Three Corner Tour video series. As you will be able to tell in some of the upcoming clips, I'm once again riding by myself. I just dropped Jessica off at the Portland, Maine airport and she's flying back to North Carolina. I will be about 2 days behind her as I've got several more states to go through and one very important stop to make. Since I had some windshield time, as one of my old buddies used to say, I thought I'd use that time to answer some questions that some of you had reached out to me about, either by email or messaging, about the making of the videos or what I put in them. Some of you had come up with the question of, how did I come up with the idea for this trip? It actually started back in the late 90s with a group of people I used to ride with, a couple of them that are actually featured at the end of the video. I wanted to start doing motorcycle adventure trips. So we actually did one corner, which was ride to Key West in 1999. And from that trip, we had talked about going and doing the rest of the United States. Unfortunately, circumstances being what they were, that never happened, but it still stayed in the back of my mind. And once I retired, it got moved to the forefront. The trip itself actually took me about a year to plan, with the most diligent planning being about 3 months prior to. All of my equipment had to be researched and purchased, including the motorcycle, riding suit, and all the other equipment, including camping equipment that I took on the trip. My friends Moose and Gene Burns helped me with the motorcycling part of this, and my friends David Pearson and Tim McMullins helped me with the camping side. The route planning was probably one of the trickiest aspects. There were several places that I really wanted to see, and obviously you can't see everything in one trip, so I had to be very picky about my stops. I'm sure some of you noticed the underlying Forrest Gump theme in many of the destinations that I visited. Also, while I was in San Diego, I couldn't resist catching a few of the Top Gun shooting destinations. But aside from those, most of my destinations were recommended by many of my friends and family. I also wanted to work in a visit with some friends I hadn't seen in a very long time, like my good friends in Iowa and a very special lady in Pennsylvania. So even though I did have a route laid out, I never really planned to stick completely to it. There was always room for deviations. For example, difficult finding motorcycle dealerships that were willing to work me in with 2 to 3 days notice even when I was trying to get oil changes or even a set of tires. I also had to adjust my route a couple of times due to the weather, but overall I stayed to the original course. I made an overnight stop in Amherst, Massachusetts before continuing on to Scranton, Pennsylvania, where I was on my way to visit a dear friend, Steve Campbell's Aunt Chris. Aunt Chris is also known as Sister Angela Mary and lives at the Immaculate Heart of Mary Center for retired nuns. Little did I know this would be the last time that I saw Aunt Chris, as she passed away in August of 2021.
Have a little faith in angels. You never know where they might be. Have a little faith in angels, and you might begin to see. You could have a little faith, you and me.
My visit with Aunt Chris will always be one of the most special parts of my trip. We had a great lunch. She showed me the garden that was dedicated to her many years of service with the church, and we laughed and cut up just like we always had every time we had talked before. She was a remarkable, wonderful lady who will always be missed. Something that seemed to surprise people about this trip was the fact that I did it primarily by myself. Jessica did join me for the California coast and Maine, but for the remainder of the trip I was by myself except when I was visiting with friends. I had originally approached several people about going with me, but no one could take 6 weeks off to take on this kind of an adventure. And to be quite honest, I really enjoyed the me time. Okay, so I feel like I owe you a little bit of an explanation why it has taken me almost 2 years to begin working on this project and almost another year to complete. Jessica and I had decided that we were going to sell our house and move to South Carolina. So in the midst of getting our old house ready to sell and looking and buying a new house, That took away some of the time that I would normally have been doing some editing. Another critical part was that I didn't have any computer equipment that could run the software to do video editing. So once we actually got moved to South Carolina and I got to start researching some of the equipment that I needed, I made a computer purchase and then also bought Adobe Premiere Pro and had to learn how to use that, which took several months of learning how to edit and put together the videos. Adobe Premiere Pro is pretty amazing. It's either as simple or as complicated as you want it to be, but it did have a huge learning curve. And I'll still call it a work in progress because I'm continually learning new techniques. So with that being said, just know that I had my hands on everything that had to do with my videos from the time that I assembled them, editing each individual video to doing the transitions, the captioning, the graphics, and even the music. Music was chosen not just out of randomness, but each piece of music for every clip or every section actually had a meaning and had some significance to me at some point. That's what made choosing all the music probably one of the most difficult parts of this whole experience. It also made it one of the most fun parts, because once you saw the video after it had been put to music, it really seemed to flow much better. A lot of you actually commented that you couldn't wait to see what music was coming up in the next video.
Where you could be found. Told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy.
I think I'll close my commentary with one of the most asked questions, and that is, would I ever do this again? If you'd asked me that a year ago, I would have probably said no, but after watching the videos over and over again, it really motivates me to want to get back out there, hit the open road and see more of the United States, and do some more motorcycle camping. There are parts of the U.S. that I would definitely like to revisit, such as Washington State, see a lot more of Utah, and spend time in Eastern California. I do have a couple of trips in the planning stage at the moment. One is a trip to West Virginia, and the other is a trip around Lake Michigan, from the Michigan to Wisconsin side. Both of those trips will have to wait until warmer weather, probably in the summer of 2022.
Man, we just fell about the place. If that chick don't wanna know, forget her. The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town.
So as you can see by the video, I have gone full circle and things are winding down. I finally reached my destination, my old home in Arden, North Carolina. Good to be home after 6 weeks and 2 days on the road.